Hi, this is Donna. Welcome to DD Paper Crafts. In today's video, we're going to be making these one sheet treat bags. This small box measures 5 inches high and it's 1 3/4 by 1 3/4. This is made from an 8 by 8 sheet of cardstock, and I will also in the video give you measurements so that you can make a taller box from a sheet of A4 or US letter, and this box is 7 1/4 to 7.5 inches high by 2 by 2. I saw the image for this box from a professional packaging company on Pinterest, and I looked at it and immediately thought haunted house, hence I've used the Halloween colours. But additionally, I also see a church, and I think it also would make a nice Christmas themed box. You could of course add an aperture into any of the sides if you so wished, just to change up the look of the box. As I say, the boxes can be made from one sheet of cardstock and they would come together relatively quickly. So let's see how this box comes together. As I said, I will give you the sizes for the taller box at the end. We're going to be making the smaller sized box, and you'll need a piece which is 7.5 by 6 3/4. Along the 7.5 inch side, score at 1 3/4, 3 1/2, 5 1/4, and 7. Rotate, and along the 6 3/4 inch side, score at 5 inches. Rotate the piece back, and along the top edge, mark with your pencil or make a notch with your score tool at 7/8 of an inch, 2 5/8 of an inch, 4 3/8 of an inch, and 6 1/8 of an inch. Rotate the piece back, so we're now working on the 6 3/4 inch side, and on each of the score lines, place a pencil mark at 3 1/4. So you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, and you want to also put 1 at the bottom. So that's going to be our box. We're now going to do our additional scoring. We're using your stylus and ruler. Within each rectangle, we're going to mark from the left-hand pencil mark up to the top pencil mark, and from the right-hand pencil mark up to the top pencil mark. Get rid of any of the pencil marks, and now whilst the piece is flat, before we do any of the folding or burnishing, I'm going to put a hole into each of the sections either side of the triangle, and the placement and the size of your hole will depend on what thread or ribbon or the method that you're going to use to tie your piece together. I'm going to use my simple stationer's punch. So this is going to give me a hole, and I'm going to basically push the cardstock in until it reaches the edge. My hole is roughly 1/2 inch from the top edge, and it's roughly 1/4 inch in diameter, but that's purely because of the method of putting the hole in that I'm using. You could put your hole anywhere within the section. It will obviously just change up the look of how your box ties together. So you want to do that all the way along. You'll end up with 8 holes. So you can see I'm not measuring per se, I'm just popping a hole in each section. Now we'll do our folding and burnishing. So we're going to fold along the bottom score line, fold along each of the long score lines. We're now going to fold each of the diagonals as a mountain fold. And what you can do is, if you think you'll find it easier, start to fold the diagonal as a mountain fold and push the score line above the point in towards the middle, so that becomes a valley fold, like so. So this is starting to create the shape of the box. So you can go in and burnish in that direction if you do it that way, if you think you'll find it easier. So do whatever works for you. We'll now do our cutting. We're going to cut up each of the verticals up to the first horizontal. This is creating the base tabs. Cut up the last one. Rotate. We're going to cut up the score line to remove that end section. Take a wedge. I'm then going to cut directly through the 1/2 inch tab up to where the end of the point is. So I'm splitting this side glue tab. I'm going to take a wedge from this end, and then I'm going to start by cutting a very sharp angle at this end. And that will become clear when we do the gluing. The box will come together like so. And I've cut this to this shape because I wanted to make sure that the glue tab was not going to interfere with the hole in this top section at all. So consider where you want your glue tab to be on the box. So let's say, for instance, I want the glue tab to be at the back. Then this would mean that this section here, so this is my glue tab in the back right hand corner. This section here is going to be the front. So this is going to be the last square that I'm going to put down. I'm going to move that completely out of the way and then just take a very slight wedge from the remaining 3 base glue tabs. Doesn't need to be a lot, it just needs to be enough so that the base sits neatly and edges of cardstock are not interfering with edges of cardstock, and it also means that you can ensure that you're completely removing the score line, and so you should get a neater, flusher finish on the base. So this is effectively our piece already. So all we need to do is glue the sides up and then glue the base together. I'm going to flip it over this way and fold over this end. Add glue to the glue tabs, fold over this side and join the piece up like so. And now I'm going to fold in base tabs one by one, and this full square is going to be the last square that I stick down. So that's nice and square, and then just tip it over and just go in and burnish down and spread the glue at the bottom. The sides will all fold in. So the top will come together like so, ready for the ribbon and for the additional decoration. I'll now go away and finish decorating this one. I'll give you the cardstock and the measurements if you want to make the taller box. The method of construction is exactly the same. So this box is 7 1/4 by 2 by 2. You'll need 1 sheet of 8 1/4 by 9 1/2. On the 8 1/4 inch side, you'll score at 2, 4, 6 and 8. Mark along the top edge at 1, 3, 5 and 7. So that's going to be the top of the point. On the 9 1/2 inch side, you'll score at 7 1/2. So that will be the score line for the base tabs. And you'll mark on the score lines at 3 1/2. So that will be the placement for the end of the triangles like so. Here you can see I've just added some ribbon around the top, and then I've used some die cut 3D topper elements. These are from the Crafter's Companion Trick or Treat pad, and they just worked really well for my Halloween theme. So there we have today's one sheet project. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel, and until next time, thanks for watching.